Paul, I've heard you talking to the press about the injury situation. Sounds like a bit of a headache.
Yeah, it is a bit of a headache. It's not the ideal scenario. Sadly, in elite sport, when you're pushing players and you're demanding that they're fitter, they're stronger, they're quicker, um, the downside of it is that they're going to break at times. It's finding the balance of where you can push them to. The sad thing with some of these is they're really innocuous type of injuries. You know, they're not. They're not all muscular strains, and that's the sort of concern. But also, it's something that we can't legislate for and we can't stop. Um, Brennan Dickinson's was just something where somebody fell on him and he opened his knee and ends up with an ACL repair on it. Taylor Charters, I've said this before, that maybe we could have done things differently with Taylor, so that's one we have to take on the chin. But we've got a doubt over Ben for the weekend, Ben Barkley. That was literally him landing awkwardly at a set play and him having a problem. Morgan Feeney's wasn't something that we could have stopped. We couldn't have done anything about it, and we still don't know the full extent of that one yet. Hopefully by Friday evening we should know something more. So there's all of these things that go into it. Sadly, it's part and parcel of football, and it just seems as though it's one of them things you've just got to deal with.
We saw Ryan go off. Is that something else we're waiting to find out about?
Yeah, he had a scan on Wednesday, and we're still waiting for the radiologist report back on that one. Um, it's something that's been going on since the Workington game in pre-season. He came off at half-time and said he had a bit of soreness in there, and we've been managing it all the time. He has days where he said he feels great, I've got no problem at all, and then he's fit to train and he plays, and then it flares up again afterwards. On Tuesday night at Shrewsbury, he felt good. He went to close somebody down, he got the ball whacked against his hip, and it went into spasm and was making it really uncomfortable. And I'd noticed it about 10-15 minutes before he actually came off, and I said, are you okay? He said, it's fine, I'll run it off. Um, and then a few things happened, and I just said, no, I'm making the decision, you're coming off, I'm not taking any chances. So we changed it, and we'll see how he is. I'm hoping that him and Ben will both be fit for the weekend. But who knows? If it doesn't, then it tests the squad even more, and as the door closes for them, it opens for somebody else.
You don't like the old square peg round hole scenario. Might it be that you go that way this weekend?
Possibly. That is one option that we have. I've got two or three different options that I'm thinking about and considering. Depending how both players are when we're coming on Friday morning, I'll have to decide which is the right option. Thankfully, I've got a bit of time before I do that. I may even take the option of waiting till Saturday, seeing whether they settle down even more, which isn't ideal because I can't do our final bits of preparation, our game plan, and our set plays if I haven't been able to name the side. Thankfully, I always think that's the benefit of having a pre-season where you do all of your base prep, because I know that if another centre-back has to play, they know how we want to play. I know that if another striker comes in, they know how we want to play. The midfielders know how to balance off if it's if somebody else has to come in. So that's the bonus of having a pre-season where we've done all of the work, and as we go through, it's just a tweak to game plans or tweaks to our shape to hopefully get the upper hand on the opposition.
The comforting thing we saw on Tuesday night, you bring four in and they look like they played all season, so that's a good thing to have.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, I think as I say, that's the benefit of having a strong pre-season. Even for people like Amari, he missed quite a chunk of pre-season, but because he was involved in all of our meetings and all of the stuff that we talked about, the way we wanted to play, he already had an idea of what we wanted out of him. Jaden as well, he just showed that he could adapt, and he stepped up into the team with very little work with the rest of the group, but I thought he had certainly an excellent start to the game. He obviously tired as he was going on, but hopefully there will be a hell of a lot more to come from Jay.
There is that good feeling around the place as well, isn't there? Every single player here wants to play at the moment.
Yeah, there is. Yeah, that's. I just think that's a culture that you have in a place, and I don't even know what. If somebody asks me what is culture or how do you get it, I ain't got a clue. I really don't know what it is. I think it's just I think it's just the standards that you set and the standards that the players set for themselves as well. I think it's the way you go about it, the way you treat each other. I think that creates culture. Also, winning games creates it as well, or certainly helps it. And I think we have got a good feeling at the moment, and we've got to make sure we do everything we possibly can to keep a good feeling.
Adding a player like Paul, not just another face, but an experienced face, what does that do to a group that's already starting to bond together?
It's got to boost it. You know, I think everybody looks. I think if I remember back as a player, when you're in clubs and a signing's made, you sort of, there's either a, why is he coming? What's he going to do for us? Or it's a, wow, he makes us better. And I think people will look at Paul coming into the club thinking, he'll make us better. He's good pedigree. He's you know, I think to play at the top level for as long as he has, that ain't luck. You know, that he's got something about him to be able to do that. Now what we have to do is make sure we get him right, get him fit as soon as we can, but not too soon that it's a risk, and hope that he's able to come and sort of impart all of that knowledge and experience into our team, into our group, and make us better.
We saw him today. He's done the session with the group up at Everlasting, and he's come and done another session with Gav. He wants to get on with it, doesn't he?
Yeah, he does. We had a meeting with him this morning. Called him in with Jamie, the S&C, to find out exactly what he has done and to talk about what our plan is with him, how we want to get him fit, when he'll get the rest days, what sort of work we need to get into him. He's very knowledgeable as well. He's obviously a deep thinker, and he knows what he needs and what his body needs. So we'll keep working with him, and we'll keep building him up into the group, because the base fitness is there for him. He looks in real good shape. He obviously looks after himself. What we have to do is get the football fitness into him and get him used to actually. It's always easy when you're training on your own, because if I'm going in a straight line, I know I'm going in a straight line. If I can see there's a bend up ahead, I know there's a bend coming up ahead, and I'm ready for it. When it's a chaos session and I've got somebody running at me and I don't know whether he's going left or right, I've got to adjust and adapt. That's when that's the stuff that he needs. It's that football thinking, football mentality that I'd like to think, because of his experience, he'll come back very quickly.
Would you maybe target the Man United game in the Papa John's as something that he could be a part of?
I'm looking and thinking I'd like it to be before that, if I'm going to be really honest with you. I'm looking at the Gillingham game. I would like him I'd like to think that we can work with him to get him to that level. I think at the moment we have a plan going through to next weekend, and I think once you get to next weekend, we can then reassess and maybe adjust what he's doing. If we do 2 or 3 days with him and we think, do you know what, he's capable of doing more high intensity running or even very high speed running, we'll maybe take him to that level. That's something that I think it's a little bit of a grey area at the moment, if I'm going to be honest, because we don't know where he's at. He's telling us what he's done. He's telling us he feels fit, and he certainly looks fit. It's just it's the real McCoy, isn't it? Once you get them out on the grass and seeing how they cope with it.
You're very matter of fact when you talk about these injury situations with us over on the other side of the table. Do you get frustrated at the number at all of long-term injuries? Do you think to yourself, if only, because there would be an even stronger group if it hadn't happened?
Yeah, I do get frustrated, but I just know it's part and parcel of football. It's part and parcel of elite sport. So, you know, it's. If somebody said to me, right, you can just have your ideal scenario, they'd all be fit and they'd all be training. Sadly, that's not the case, and it's one of the things I've said all the time, and maybe I wasn't very good at this when I first started out in managing. I can't worry about what's not there. I can't worry about something that I can't change. You know, if I could change something about training now to stop Toby and Taylor Charters getting their hamstring injuries, I would change it. But it's too late now, and I don't know whether it was our training or some weakness in them that caused it. I don't know if I'd have said to Morgan Feeney, don't chase Freddie Sears down the line, just let him run and don't worry about it, then I could have stopped that. But this is what I say about Paul Huntington's fitness. It's just football. It's what you have to do. It's what you get through. I just don't see the point in worrying about it. I trust the staff. I think we've got a brilliant S&C. I trust the training that myself, Gav, Paul Gerrard, we do with the players. I trust our physio. I think we've got a really good physio. I trust all of the staff that we're doing the right things. I also know that there'll be times where we probably make some mistakes as well, and we have to accept we're going to make mistakes because we're not robots, and these things happen. We've just got to accept it. We've got to move on. We've got to give the players the best care we possibly can, and hope they get fit as soon as possible.
We also keep asking about additions and in relation to budget, and sometimes we forget that you're working to quite strict protocols. The salary cap management, for example. So sometimes, even if the board felt they could help, there's actually a percentage limit. That again must be sometimes be like a case of, well, we could, but actually we can't.
Yeah. I mean, it's the way of the world, isn't it? Everybody looks and wishes they could have what the Joneses have, but we're not all the Joneses, are we? It's just that's life. So I look at other teams in this league and think, wow, they've got a big budget, or I don't even know what the budget is, but they seem to be spending a lot of money. That's fine, no problem at all. I've been in dressing rooms where I've been told that players are earning more money than me. You have to be satisfied with what you've got, and I deal with it. I take it that this is what we've got. I know that our board of directors are finding every possible pound that they can to try and help us, because they know that we've got a decent wave of enthusiasm going on at the moment. Not probably even better than decent. We've got a really good wave of enthusiasm with the supporters, with the feeling around the football club, with the feeling in the city, with sponsors and people wanting to come in to have meals and stuff at the club. So they know if we make it even better, that's going to improve. And the attendance we had in our first game against Crawley was brilliant, really good. Now we want to see if we can keep building it and making it better. If we can keep producing on the pitch and putting performances out, then fans will come to watch it, and that's what I want to do. Now, if we get more and more players who are going to improve our squad, that makes it easier to get results on the pitch. Not easy, but easier, and we've got to keep trying to work to do that. And I can't criticise the directors for what they're trying to do here. And hopefully they'll keep trying to do it.
It's what you're talking about. It's all what SCMP is based on, isn't it? We get more people through, we earn more revenue, we get more to spend. Yeah. It's a simple mathematical fact.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, I mean it's one of them where you can actually go and show we have a salary cap, but if you show that you've got the income coming in, they'll allow you to increase it, and that's what I'm hoping. That's why I keep banging the drum, getting them in. I want everybody to come and support the football club, because as I've said in the past, a successful football club breeds a really good atmosphere in the city. I've experienced that in 2005 and 6, and let's get it in 2022 and 2023 as well.
Carry that on Saturday. Swindon, a bit of a wounded animal at the moment.
Yeah, they are. It's really surprising actually, because I've watched their two games against Harrogate and Salford. I haven't watched the game against Walsall in the cup because they made a lot of changes. So I've watched the two league games, and I think they're a good side. I mean, they didn't play a lot of the game with 11 men against Salford, so that sort of affected the way the game looked. Against Harrogate, I thought they played some really good football and were really effective, and ended up getting turned over quite comfortably in the end by Harrogate. So they're a good side. They've got some really good experienced players in there, I think. I've always liked Johnny Williams, the little midfield player. I think he's a real good footballer. Reed, who plays that holding midfield role for them, they're good players. Everybody knows what Harry McCurdy's capable of. The one thing I would say is that let's really focus on us this weekend. Let's make it about our players. And if our players can go and perform like they have done in the first three, then I think we could have another good afternoon.
That's the thing, isn't it? We've started all of our games so well, and that seems to be a theme. Let's get out there and get at it.
Yeah, I think you've got to come out of the traps flying. I always think if you go into a game and think, well, I'll save it for the last 30 minutes, it's very difficult to actually change the way you're going about it. So for me, I think we have to start games really front-footed. I think we've got to go and get about teams. We've got to go and play with high intensity, whether that be in or out of possession. I think we've got to go and win the ball back early when we lose it. And the players are doing it, and I think they've shown that when they do it, they can be really effective. We need to be even more effective. but I'm really pleased with what we're doing so far, and if we can start well on Saturday, hopefully it'll give us a good foothold in the game.
I think it's actually going to be a few degrees cooler than it was down in Shrewsbury the other night when we kick off on Saturday. So the lads are used to playing at intensity and intense heat.
Yeah, of course they are. They've done it through pre-season. We've had some games where it's been really hot. Um, I know in Largs it was really hot when we were up there. So yeah, it's we can't change it. There's no point worrying about it. We don't have. We're not going to have what they've got in Qatar, where they're air-conditioned stadiums. Brunton Park hasn't got the aircon fitted yet, so we have to just deal with it. The players will be fine. You know, I always say it's better to play football in the sun than in the sleet and the rain and gale force winds. So it'll be fine. We'll all have a good afternoon, and if the players go and perform, then they'll have a brilliant afternoon.
It is the start to the season we wanted, isn't it? I mean, probably more in terms of points if we're being greedy, but the way we've started, it's encouraging.
Yeah, I think the performance. I always think you have to get your performance right first. You can have little bits of luck and you can be rubbish and win a game. I get that. But I think if your performance is right and you consistently get that level right, I think the results will follow. And I said that to the players after the game at Shrewsbury, that over the 10 games, if your performance is right, you'll win the majority of them. And so far, we've got 4 points out of the two league games. We've had to take a loss on the chin with the Shrewsbury Cup game, but a lot of good things that we can take. Still a lot of good things we need to keep building on as well, though.